Club today, joined by Darren McKee, founder of Darren McKee Co. I am your host, Chris Jager, and joined with Adam Sochinsky as well, our Director of Sales.
Hello, good to be back in the club.
Yeah, man. Just excited to be here.
We're happy to have you, Darren.
I know your last name. I never can say yours. So we're
I have a hard time with it too.
Well, Darren, we had the pleasure of connecting with you over LinkedIn and frankly throughout the year in different capacities, but really we're all here as sales professionals. So would love to hear a little bit of background from you, set the stage. How did you get into sales to begin with?
Yeah, it's such a good question. Thanks for having me. Absolute joy. I got to walk downstairs and see production today, and I don't know, you think about a t-shirt and you're like, oh man, there's a lot going on there.
There's a lot of people behind a t-shirt.
There's so many people and so many great people. It's so funny. Whenever I was a kid, I remember this vividly. I was walking on the boardwalk in Myrtle Beach, and I was like 5 years old, and my mom was like, hey, you shouldn't be talking to strangers. And I'm like, there's no such thing as a stranger. And so I think I didn't know at that time when I was 5, obviously I was going to be in sales, but I always knew that I was always going to tell people hi. And at that point, I didn't know that you could make money doing that. So fast forward a little bit, ended up not wanting to go to college. School was not my thing. Loved learning, but I just figured I wanted to do it my way versus everybody else's way. And so I was hanging out on campus in Coastal Carolina University, go Chanticleers. Didn't go there, but hung out and met my wife. So we're good to go there.
Teal Nation.
Yeah, I love it. And I was working at a restaurant called Rotelli Pizza and Pasta, and ended up flipping pizzas, becoming a server, becoming a manager, and just honestly, I was like, oh, I'm just in sales now. I got to make sure these people come back. I got to make sure that their food is great. I got to make sure that everybody's happy. I got to make sure the staff is happy. And my wife looked at me because we got married. I was making like $12 an hour. She was like, hey, I love you, and I love that you make pizza, but you might need to do something else if we want to keep this thing going, unless you own the place. And so moved up to New York and got into operations and facility management, the complete opposite of sales. But at the same time, I was like, oh, well, I'm just going to have to tell people hi every day, make sure they get their mail, make sure that they come back every day, make sure UPS, DHL, everybody is good to go. And so I kind of, no matter what industry I was in, I was like, I'm just sales. And I finally got my opportunity with a company by the name of Insperity. And they taught me everything that I knew about sales. So multi-threading, how to have a conversation, how to deal internally, externally. And I fell in love with it. Did really well there. Went to a startup out on the West Coast called Better Up, Series D, Series E, and then went and started a company called Sky with a couple other folks that I know, and successfully sold that about a month and a half ago. Jess and Tony and team did, and then I went out and started my own thing. So sales kind of changed my life from a kid that was telling people hi at the boardwalk. Now I just get to tell people hi all the time and make money from it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. I think about, one of the things you mentioned was that moment with your wife where you're looking to change income levels, change the life of your family that you're trying to grow. I had a similar thing myself where I came here to Club Colors looking for that opportunity to earn bread and become the breadwinner for the family. And it's provided that. Sales has changed our family's life in a lot of ways. And I sit here today being able to provide a lifestyle that I otherwise wouldn't have found if I wouldn't have betted myself with sales. And I think that's the biggest thing with the sales career is you have that ability to bet on yourself. And I love that about sales.
Yeah, it gives mediocre guys like us a path to success.
Exactly. All about building that relationship, though, right?
Absolutely.
So people joke about the sales, but it is about that client and building that actual 100%. Relationship and connection with them.
Absolutely. Is that your biggest takeaway from a sales career is the ability to build a relationship with folks?
That is exactly what I think about it, right? I mean, building that relationship is the most important thing, right? Coming through for your clients over and over again, and then really work with the same people, get to know them, right? Not just having it be a transaction, right? I think us knowing each other and getting to know each other over LinkedIn has been cool, but then seeing you today, it's like seeing an old friend, right? I think so. Having that feeling with your clients and the people that you do business with, it's really important.
Yeah.
What about you, Darren?
It's interesting. I have this like vivid moment. So I have the boardwalk moment in my head, and then I have another moment that was like really pivotal. So when I was at Rotelli Pizza and Pasta, I'm going back. I'm talking about sales. I'm talking about pizza, which is really, really funny. But
you got to sell pizza.
You have to. And so at that point, there was a guy by the name of Joe Moglia, who was the chairman of TD Ameritrade. And he had taken over the head football coaching job at Coastal Carolina, which is a very weird situation, but you can go Google it. It's really, really fun. And he would call me at like 9 o'clock. Restaurant closes at 9. He would call me at 9 and he'd say, hey, I'm coming in. And I had the ability to be able to like, no, you're not coming in. But every Tuesday I'd say, come on in. He'd bring the coaches and I'd open the restaurant, have the chefs stay, and we would take care of them. And I'll never forget when I told him I was moving to New York City. He actually came in, my parents were there meeting with me and came in and had a conversation. I was like, there's a reason this guy is so successful, and it's because he's building these relationships with a server at a pizza restaurant. And so now as I go through these relationships, no matter who I meet at any company, I'm like, hey, I'm probably going to be doing business with you at some point in time in my life. And so I just try to have those conversations and continue to tell people, hey,
Yeah, I mean, sales is the ultimate networking game. You're always looking to meet folks, understand who they are, what they do. Maybe your paths cross this week. Maybe they paths cross again in a month. You never know.
Yep.
But understanding who those people are, what their roles are, it's fundamental to building a professional network in sales.
Yeah, your network is your net worth.
There's a tongue twister.
I said that a few times.
You think through, we've been talking about pizza.
Yeah.
But you think about all those experiences you have across sales and how, depending on industry, it doesn't necessarily change how you interact with folks. Mm-hmm. It doesn't always have to be the super nuanced thing depending on the industry you're serving at that time. There's things that I still utilize today from my time working in the orange aisles of Home Depot with my apron. There's lessons you learn in the trenches that you can't learn other than doing the job. And I think that's one of those things that's so special about sales is it allows you to pivot across industries, talk to folks in all sorts of different industries. What are some of the biggest lessons you've learned through different roles that you still use today with 100,000 plus followers on LinkedIn?
Oh gosh. I think if I really zoom out and think about like all of the roles that I've had, so from Better Up to Insperity to Sky to where I'm at now, the people that I met 6 years ago are now doing business with me, right? So going back to when I ran mail rooms, like the people at Ralph Lauren who I used to serve are now coming to me for social selling coaching and LinkedIn coaching. And so you're always one conversation, one handshake, one head nod, one hello in an elevator away from like your entire life changing. So I always tried to have that mindset, right? So I walk into a meeting. Some of the things that I remember vividly is walking into a meeting, having a conversation with, call it a Caterpillar or Toro, and I know everything about that person because I was able to look at LinkedIn and I was able to understand where they've been, where they're gone, what they're doing in their jobs. And so being able to recognize people, listen, we all love when people know a little bit about us. And so when you walk into a room and you know a lot about an individual, it just says that you care about your craft. And so now every time I go into a room, I try to have like 3 or 4 things that I know specifically about that person that no one else is going to know. And so now, I mean, honestly, if I do that in every call, we're getting a next call.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, we talk about preparing for a call, right? Because I think a lot of times people get nervous before a big presentation or before a cold call or whatever that is, right? Because they're not prepared. They don't have things that they're going to talk about. I think doing your research, whether it's a company website or a school website or a LinkedIn page, right? Having something to talk about and relate to is going to make the sale that much easier.
Yeah, I always say, like, never join a call and ask somebody where they're from.
Exactly.
Or what the weather is or how long they've been at the company. Like the moment somebody asks me that, because I have to buy products now, right? I'm the buyer. And if somebody's like, hey, where are you calling in from? I'm like, we're done.
Yeah. Like you didn't take the 5 minutes before this call to look that up.
Yeah,
exactly.
How long have you been in your role? Like, I don't know. It says 13 months on LinkedIn. Go look. Yeah. And so I've been saying this for the last 6 months. The bar in sales is so low right now. It's mind numbing.
Yeah, be prepared.
And why do you say the bar is so low? Like that's, I think, a very insightful comment.
Yeah, a lot of people right now are like, sales is so hard. Nobody's answering emails. Nobody's answering phone calls. Like quota attainment's going lower and lower. I think, quite frankly, it's just because we've gotten lazier and lazier as individuals. And it's like, the people that are doing the hard work. And it's like, I think about this, so we'll keep talking about Caterpillar, right? If I'm in that meeting, I know how they make money. I know every single location that they have. I know what their recent earnings call said. I know what their 10K says. I know what their sustainability report is. I know what roles these individuals. So when you walk in there, like there's, you know so much. And most people are like, oh, I threw it into the CRM and I looked at some data and, here we are. And it's like, the bar's so low. Like you can look so good now because so many people are so bad.
And because all that data or that information, if you will, is out there. A quick Google search,
there is so much
exactly. I mean, a quick podcast of the person you're going to call and a 5-second listen, you can get to know them really quickly.
Well, it's like we're going to talk about this in a minute, but this is why I love doing video DMs to my prospects on LinkedIn. It's like, and one of the reasons, anytime someone responds to one of those, I ask them why they responded, and they always say the same thing. Well, you if you're walking outside and you're sending a video to the VP of Talent, Learning and Development at Caterpillar, you know about them. You're not looking at a screen. You're not looking at notes. You're not looking at something you pulled from GPT. It's like, no, I've been researching your business and I know a lot, and there's a lot of respect there.
I think it's such a valuable way to break down those barriers that are always existing in sales, and the video capabilities that exist out there now on LinkedIn. It allows you to break down that barrier beforehand, before you're hopping on a call, before you have that scheduled meeting. And there's that familiarity you're able to bring to the table in a different way.
Yeah, I made a post last week, and Amy Mincarley at Bloomerang, she commented on it, and she said, "Hey, you did this with us. You knew us before you knew us." Mm-hmm. And that's, I mean, there was 3 of them that joined the call. They had a 4th joining like 20 minutes before. I saw it come in, and I was like, oh, gosh, I got to go know this person. And she ended up being one of the most critical people in the sales cycle. Didn't think I would even know she was joining, but like those are the things that a lot of people aren't doing.
Yeah. And I love you called out the sustainability report. It's something that we've utilized on our sales team over the last year in particular. And there's so much data and information and insight into these companies that you're trying to do business with. They're telling you what's important for this calendar year, for the next 3 years, 5 years, whatever that outlook looks like. And to be able to bring sales solutions that help them address and achieve what they're trying to do, like, why would you not take the time to read?
Yeah, oftentimes the own employees don't even know what's in their sustainability. Like, you'll go quote somebody or like mention something from the HR section or the marketing section, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, really?" And so I always say, like, you should know as much as the staff if you're trying to close a 6-figure deal at an organization.
Agreed.
Yeah, like you should be hired. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've walked out of a sales process and the person had forwarded my information to the seller and said, "We need to hire that guy."
Yeah.
Well, and we say a lot in our team huddles that we want to be seen as an extension of their brand. Mm-hmm. And that's absolutely another application of this is in that sales conversation, in that sales cycle, you want to be an extension of the brand beyond just the graphic element of it. You want to be an extension of what it means to work for that university, what it means to work for that company.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For sure.
All it takes is a little bit of research.
A little bit, right? And everybody's like, you can throw this in all these systems now and automate it. And I'm like, yeah, but you still don't really know till you read it.
You're finding 100%. A way to organically stand out and be different.
Yeah.
And that's, at the end of the day, what you need to do to market yourself in sales.
Nobody has 12 minutes, though, to research something.
No.
Sad.
So, Darren, how did you find yourself using LinkedIn as a sales tool to begin with? I mean, you've built quite the presence there, quite the following.
Dude, how much time do we have? Story time?
Another 45 minutes or so.
Story time. So it was March of 2020, and I was selling...
pivotal month for a lot of people in
sales. Pivotal moment. I was selling HR payroll compliance services for Insperity. I was doing well, right? I had a baby at home. My wife was working at that time too, and all of a sudden, you know, we used to go to networking events. I'd knock on doors. I'd shake hands. I was at. That's how we sold to small businesses, and so all of a sudden, that was gone. Like touching someone's hand was like not happening anymore. And you can't go to networking events. So I found myself upstairs in the master main bathroom working in this little corner desk area. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I've got to provide for this family. I don't have a college education. This is like my first chance into sales. I can't blow it. And I was like, I guess I'll post on LinkedIn. And at that point there was John Barrows, Scott McGregor, Tabitha Cavanaugh, Morgan Ingram, and a couple other people that were like doing it a little bit differently. 99.99% were like, this is my resume. I'm sharing jobs. I'm sharing product information. And it was that, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what I did at first. I was like, all right, cool. A new job opening. Hey, new product. Check out our new payroll compliance thing, blah, blah, blah.
You're real salesy.
Yeah, super salesy. And so it's funny, I have all of those pieces of content still, and I go look at them monthly, and there's like 2 likes. One like it's my brother who like I sent it to.
And it's you from your other account.
Yeah, it's me. Yeah, it's my mom's fake account. You know? And finally one day I was like, you know what? I'm not making any money here. I'm just going to be me. And I started writing, and nobody in the organization was really doing it. And I'd get like 13 likes from like people outside of my first degree network. And for some reason I was just like, I'm not going to stop. And so I posted for March 3rd of 2020 for like 1,240 days in a row.
Saturdays and Sundays included, every single day.
Saturdays and Sundays included.
That's awesome.
One day.
What goes into the mindset of that though when you're posting that frequently? How do you?
Yeah, I don't really know. I'm kind of a psychopath. I had one day where I stopped because I was like, I can't be addicted to this, and so I just like didn't post that day, and then I started back up again, and I did it for another several hundred days until like a week and a half ago. I just took a day off.
How dare you?
Yeah, for me. So this is gonna sound funny for salespeople listening. Like, I don't really like working. Okay, like I'm not like waking up in the morning late. Like this is all I want to do with my life is go work. And so what content did for me was sold deals while I was sleeping, and booked meetings without having to call people, and booked meetings without having to email. And so now, like, I took the last 12 days off. My pipeline thrived because I had content scheduled. Yeah. And so when I started to see that, it was a big game changer for me. I think the biggest turning point though was early on in my Better Up days. I closed a $440,000 ACV deal because the buyer happened to see my piece of content. I had emailed her, I had called her 27 times, and then something hit her at the right moment, and that was when I was like, you know what, this is a game changer. And then it's evolved massively since then. Around, I used to just tell people a lot of things. Now I try to teach people a lot of things, right? So that's when everything kind of changed as a seller. I stopped talking about sales content. I stopped talking about that, right? And I started talking about like learning and development, IO psychology, and all of the things that like my buyers wanted to come to me to learn from, and ended up getting invited to their events. And fast forward like a little bit later, this is funny. This has been a year from today, actually. I was in Cancun with 38 chief people officers. Wow. And me. Wow. And they were like, yeah, you can come because I know you're not going to like sell us on everything. And we sat there and hung out for a week. And
so that allowed you to establish trust with 38
of my buyers,
of your buyers, of your ideal clients, without ever having to become salesy.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't supposed to be there, but it's okay.
They're like, you're not going to sell to us. Meanwhile, you're grinning like a wolf over there.
Yeah. It's great.
I think we've all had those moments, that aha moment with content. If you've taken the dive into making content, or just using content that your clients, your ideal prospects are putting out there as a resource, we've all had that moment where there's that interaction that takes place, and it breaks down the barrier in a different way. And we've all done calls, we've done emails, we've done all sorts of different outreach. It's different with social selling. And I think you've cracked this weird code with LinkedIn where you've been able to build now a presence and a following and cohorts and all these things that are coming to life under the Darren McKee Go brand now. What went into that? The vision to take what was something that you found some traction with, you found a following, but now taking that leap to make it something even more.
Yeah, I think I told myself I was going to just give for like 3 years before I ever asked for anything.
Reciprocity.
And LinkedIn is the most reciprocity-driven platform in the planet. Like, you have to respond to your comments. You have to respond to your DMs. You have to engage with your community, or not your community, actually outside of your community. But I knew that if I gave consistently for like 3 years and built a following of people that just like trusted what I said and realized I wasn't trying to like lead magnet the hell out of them, right? Like
paragraphs in the DM,
right. I knew that when I decided to launch, that it was going to be okay. Here's the thing, though: I was never going to launch.
Yeah.
I was terrified. I did not want to be an entrepreneur. I did not want to be a founder. My dad worked for the same company for 46 years. I had tried businesses before, and I did not like it. And I was in Utah. We were together, actually.
Where paths first cross, Salt Lake City.
Mitch Whiting, Tim Pereira, and Brian Sagre. We shared an Airbnb together. I never met these guys in person in my life. And they were all doing these businesses and coaching people. And we were sitting outside, and one of them was like, you're you're actually better than all of us at this stuff. Why aren't you making any money? And I was like, I really want to. And they were like, well, you're not leaving Utah until you launch this thing or announce this thing. And so I woke up the next morning. It was like 2 mornings later, and I made a post that I was going to start a 10-person cohort. I had no idea what I was doing, y'all. And I called a couple friends. This is the first time I've ever said this publicly, but I called a couple other friends. I was like, hey, I need you to to sign up just so I have people. And I did 10, and it was really transformative for those 10 people. And then I launched again, and I had 30. And then now we're 12 cohorts in. I think I've coached over 500 leaders. But if I wouldn't have had those guys tell me, hey, you need to do this, I probably never would have done it. And there I'd be a successful seller, and life would be good. But I don't know. I can do whatever I want now. Yeah. It's just nice.
Which is the goal. Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, it's way harder, but
Yeah.
but that was a pivotal moment where you just had these guys that were like, hey, you got to do it. And it's funny, I was talking to Mitch yesterday, and we're going to do another brainstorming session where we just push each other to our absolute limits.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we met you that week out at a LinkedIn social event, and we just happened to be in town visiting our friends at the University of Utah. And I was with our rep, Brett, and I'm like, Brett, let's go to this LinkedIn thing. Darren's going to be there. We follow his content. Love, the message and tips and tricks that you were putting out there. I've never gone to any sort of online, in-person social networking event. It was really cool, though, to stop by and meet folks that you see their content. And
you want to know something really funny about that event? So I sold to learning and development leaders, like CHROs. There were none of those people were there, right? So I actually went on that trip on my own dollar.
Okay.
Sky paid for my plane ticket, and they were like, I don't know, go figure it out, try to sell something. So I'm telling you this because if you're a seller and you're listening to this, go to events that are outside of your target demographic if you possibly can. Because I went and I wasn't considered a seller to any of these people. Ended up closing our largest deal to date at Sky because of that event, of somebody that happened to be there that even wasn't in our target demographic. And so I just think outside the box. If you're going to where all of your same people are, it's gonna be really hard. Mm-hmm. But I went there and I was like, they were like, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I'm executive coaching. And they were like, oh, that's great. And so I was able to really stand out.
Yeah. The threat was almost not there, right? You weren't at the tables everybody else was trying to sell. You were kind of walking the area, being yourself, and kind of doing your thing at the event. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Darren, I'll be honest. I don't know that you're at this table today if we didn't go to that event.
Mm-hmm. We wouldn't have been.
And we probably wouldn't have been in the cohort. And it was one of those moments where
social sold the heck out of you.
Yeah. But it was one of those moments where for us as reps going into the event, we could see how networking on LinkedIn could result in actual relationships with people, and you can meet people in a different way. Yeah. It was just one of those aha moments that we talked about.
Yeah. And everybody says and this is, for a lot of you listening, you're like, my buyers aren't on there. I sell to the C-suite, or I'm in manufacturing or supply chain, or I sell to CTOs.
We sell to higher ed.
Yes,
higher ed doesn't make content.
Higher ed. They're there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And so they're all there.